The collision happened so fast that Sophia Jenkins didn't even register what was occurring until scalding coffee splashed across her cream cashmere coat and onto the chest of a tall stranger holding a little girl's hand. "Oh my God," she gasped, staring at the spreading brown stain on both their clothes. The paper cup lay on the cobblestones between them, its contents creating a steaming puddle that reflected the twinkling holiday lights strung above the market stalls. The man looked down at his flannel shirt, now soaked through, and then at her with startled gray eyes. "It's okay," he said immediately, his voice deep and reassuring despite the obvious discomfort he must have been feeling. "These things happen." "Daddy, your shirt," the little girl said, tugging on his hand. She couldn't have been more than 5, with blonde pigtails and worried blue eyes that darted between her father and Sophia. "I'm so sorry," Sophia repeated, fumbling in her designer purse for something, anything to help. She pulled out a packet of tissues, knowing even as she did that they would be completely inadequate. "I wasn't watching where I was going. I was on my phone and Here, let me pay for dry cleaning or a new shirt, or..." The man waved her off, taking a tissue anyway and dabbing at his shirt half-heartedly. "Really, it's fine. It's an old shirt, nothing that won't come out in the wash." He glanced down at his daughter, who was still staring with wide eyes. "See, Lily, no harm done." Sophia noticed then that the little girl was wearing a coat that was slightly too small for her, the sleeves ending well above her wrists. Her boots were scuffed but clean, and there was something careful about the way the man held himself, as though he was acutely aware of every dollar he spent at this holiday market. "Please," Sophia insisted, pulling out her wallet. "At least let me give you something for the trouble." Now the man's expression changed, his jaw tightening almost imperceptibly. "That's not necessary," he said, his tone still polite but firmer. "Come on, Lily, we should keep moving." "But we didn't get the hot chocolate yet," Lily said, looking up at her father with those big eyes. Sophia saw the man hesitate, saw something flicker across his face that might have been regret or calculation, and then he forced a smile. "We'll get it, sweetheart. Just give me a minute." "I ruined your shirt and probably your afternoon," Sophia said, feeling worse by the second. In her world of boardrooms and quarterly reports, problems were solved with money or contracts or carefully worded emails. But here, standing in the middle of the riverside holiday market with the scent of roasted chestnuts and pine in the air, her usual tools seemed crude and insulting. "The least I can do is buy you and your daughter hot chocolate. Please, it would make me feel better about being so careless." The man studied her for a long moment, and Sophia found herself noticing things about him she normally wouldn't register about a stranger. The way his dark hair curled slightly at the edges, the calluses on his hands that suggested manual labor, the protective way he kept himself positioned between her and his daughter, not threatening but watchful. "All right," he finally said. "Hot chocolate would be nice. Thank you." Relief flooded through Sophia, surprising her with its intensity. "Great. Where's the stand?" Lily perked up immediately, pointing toward a cheerful red and white striped stall about 20 feet away. "There, they have the ones with the big marshmallows." As they walked together, weaving through the crowd of holiday shoppers, Sophia realized she hadn't introduced herself. She'd been so flustered by the accident that basic courtesy had flown out of her head. "I'm Sophia, by the way, Sophia Jenkins." "Ryan Armstrong," the man said, offering his hand. When she shook it, his grip was firm and warm despite the cold December air. "And this is my daughter, Lily." "Nice to meet you both," Sophia said, smiling down at Lily, even under these circumstances. Lily giggled, covering her mouth with her mittened hand. "You talk fancy." "Lily," Ryan said, a warning note in his voice, but Sophia laughed. "I suppose I do sometimes," she admitted. "Must be all those boring business meetings I sit through." They reached the hot chocolate stand, and Sophia ordered 3 large cups with extra marshmallows, ignoring Ryan's protest that she didn't need to get one for herself. The truth was, She hadn't planned to stay at the market long. She'd only stopped by because her assistant had mentioned it in passing, and Sophia had found herself with a rare free Saturday afternoon. Her original plan had been to walk through quickly, maybe pick up some unique gifts for her executive team, and then head back to her downtown loft to review the Henderson proposal. But now, accepting a steaming cup topped with a mountain of white marshmallows, she found she didn't want to rush off. "Thank you," Lily said solemnly, carefully taking her cup with both hands. "You're very welcome," Sophia replied. She took a sip of her own chocolate, the rich sweetness coating her tongue. "Wow, that's delicious." "It's the best in the city," Lily declared with absolute certainty. "We come here every year, don't we, Daddy?" "Every year," Ryan confirmed, his expression softening as he looked at his daughter. Then his eyes met Sophia's over Lily's head, and for a moment, something unspoken passed between them. Recognition, maybe, or simply shared appreciation for the magic of seeing the world through a child's eyes. They moved away from the stand to let other customers order, finding a spot near a display of handmade wreaths. Sophia should have made her excuses and left, but she found herself asking, "Do you live nearby?" "About 15 minutes away," Ryan said. "We have an apartment over on Maple Street. You, downtown, the Hartley building." She saw recognition flicker in his eyes at the name of the exclusive high-rise and wished she'd been less specific. The last thing she wanted was for him to think she was showing off. "Nice area," Ryan said neutrally. An awkward silence fell, broken by Lily announcing, "Daddy makes the best pancakes. He made them shaped like snowmen this morning." "Did he?" Sophia asked, grateful for the little girl's chatter. "That sounds wonderful." "They had chocolate chips for buttons," Lily continued enthusiastically. "And whipped cream for the snow." Ryan's cheeks had colored slightly. "She's my best customer," he said with a smile that transformed his face, making him look younger and less guarded. "I'm your only customer," Lily pointed out with 5-year-old logic, making both adults laugh. As they talked, Sophia learned that Ryan worked in construction, that he'd been raising Lily on his own for the past 3 years, and that they were at the market to buy gifts for Lily's kindergarten teacher and a few family members. Ryan was careful not to mention Lily's mother, and Sophia didn't pry, recognizing pain when she saw it carefully locked away in turn. She found herself being more honest than she usually was with strangers. She told them about her company, Jenkins Marketing Solutions, which she'd built from the ground up over the past 10 years. She admitted that she worked too much and that her own family lived 3 states away, which meant holidays were often quiet affairs. "That sounds lonely," Lily said with a child's blunt honesty. "Lily," Ryan said again, but Sophia shook her head. "She's right," Sophia said quietly. "It is lonely sometimes." Ryan's expression shifted, becoming less wary and more sympathetic. "The holidays can be tough," he said. "They can," she agreed, meeting his eyes. This time, the moment stretched longer, and Sophia felt something flutter in her chest that had nothing to do with the cold air or the hot chocolate warming her hands. They were interrupted by Lily tugging on Ryan's hand. "Daddy, can we see the puppets?" "Please," Ryan glanced at Sophia apologetically. "There's a puppet show that starts in a few minutes. She's been looking forward to it all week." "Of course," Sophia said, stepping back. "I should get going anyway. Again, I'm so sorry about your shirt." "It's really fine," Ryan assured her. "And thanks for the hot chocolate. That was generous of you." She wanted to say something else, wanted to find a reason to exchange numbers or suggest meeting again, but the words stuck in her throat. This wasn't her world, these casual market encounters and spontaneous connections. She dealt in contracts and terms, not feelings and maybes. "Goodbye, Sophia," Lily said, waving her mittened hand. "Goodbye, Lily. Goodbye, Ryan." She watched them disappear into the crowd, Lily skipping beside her father, and then she turned and walked in the opposite direction. Her coffee-stained coat suddenly felt heavier, and the holiday market that had seemed charming moments ago now felt overwhelming and too bright. Sophia made her way back to her car, a sleek black sedan parked in the nearby garage, and drove home to her loft. The space was exactly as she'd left it that morning. Immaculate, modern, and utterly silent. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a stunning view of the city skyline, and the minimalist furniture was all carefully chosen by an interior designer she'd hired last year. She hung her ruined coat in the closet, making a mental note to take it to the cleaners on Monday, and changed into comfortable clothes. Then she sat down at her desk, opened her laptop, and stared at the Henderson proposal without really seeing it. All she could think about was gray eyes and a little girl's laughter, and the way Ryan had smiled when talking about his daughter. It was ridiculous. She'd known them for all of 20 minutes, and yet she couldn't shake the feeling that something significant had happened at that holiday market. "Get it together," she muttered to herself, forcing her attention back to the screen. She had work to do. That was what mattered. That was what had always mattered. But even as she read through market analyses and projected ROI, part of her mind was elsewhere, replaying the conversation and wondering if she'd imagined the connection she'd felt. The weekend passed in its usual blur of work and solitary meals, and a long run along the river on Sunday morning. By Monday, Sophia had convinced herself that the incident at the market was just that, an incident. A random encounter that meant nothing beyond teaching her to watch where she was walking. She threw herself into work with renewed focus, sitting through back-to-back meetings and conference calls. Her company was in the middle of pitching for 3 major accounts, any one of which would significantly boost their revenue for the next fiscal year. As CEO, Sophia was directly involved in all of them, reviewing every presentation, every proposal, every angle. "You're going to burn yourself out," her CFO, Marcus, told her on Tuesday afternoon as they reviewed budget projections. "When was the last time you took a real vacation?" "I don't need a vacation," Sophia replied automatically. "I need to land these accounts." Marcus shook his head but didn't argue further. They'd had this conversation before, and it always ended the same way. That evening, Sophia left the office at 8, which was early by her standards. As she walked to her car, her phone buzzed with a text from her younger sister, Claire, who lived in Ohio with her husband and 2 kids. "Are you coming home for Christmas?" The message read. "The kids are asking about Aunt Sophie." Sophia stared at the message, guilt twisting in her stomach. She'd missed Thanksgiving because of a crucial client meeting, promising to make it up at Christmas. But she already knew she probably wouldn't go. The travel, the time away from work, the questions from her family about her personal life. It all felt overwhelming. "Still figuring out my schedule," she typed back. "We'll let you know soon." It was a non-answer, and they both knew it. That night, lying in her king-sized bed in her silent loft, Sophia found her thoughts drifting back to Ryan and Lily. She wondered what they were doing. Probably asleep by now, she thought. Did they have a bedtime routine? Did Ryan read Lily stories? Did he tuck her in and kiss her forehead? The tenderness in Ryan's eyes when he looked at his daughter had struck something deep in Sophia's chest, something she usually kept locked away. She'd always thought she'd have children someday, but someday kept getting pushed further into the future as her career took off. Now, at 34, she sometimes wondered if that day would ever come. Stop it, she told herself firmly. She'd met them once for less than half an hour. This was absurd. But absurd or not, she couldn't stop thinking about them. By Thursday, Sophia had given up pretending the encounter hadn't affected her. She found herself distracted during meetings, her mind wandering to gray eyes and calloused hands, and the question of what Ryan's smile would look like if it was directed at her, without reservation. "Earth to Sophia," her marketing director Janet said, waving a hand in front of her face during their afternoon strategy session. "Did you hear what I just said about the social media campaign?" "Sorry," Sophia said, straightening in her chair. "Run it by me again." Janet gave her a curious look but complied, and Sophia forced herself to focus. This was unacceptable. She was the CEO of a successful company, not some teenager with a crush. That evening, instead of staying late at the office as she usually did, Sophia made a decision that surprised even herself. She drove back to the Riverside Holiday Market. It was busier than it had been on Saturday, with crowds of people bundled in winter coats browsing the stalls. Holiday music drifted through the air, and the scent of cinnamon and evergreen filled her nose as she walked slowly through the market, her eyes scanning the faces around her. "What are you doing?" A voice in her head demanded. "This is crazy." "You're looking for a man you met once, at a place he probably only visits occasionally. The odds of running into him again are astronomical," but she kept walking, past the jewelry stand and the pottery stall and the booth selling hand-knitted scarves. She bought a bag of roasted almonds from a cheerful vendor and continued her circuit of the market, telling herself she was just enjoying the atmosphere, not actively searching for anyone specific. She didn't find them. After an hour of wandering, her face numb from the cold and her feet aching in her heels, Sophia returned to her car. The disappointment she felt was disproportionate to the situation, and she knew it, but that didn't make it any less real. "This is ridiculous," she said aloud, starting the engine. "You need to let this go." But even as she said it, she knew she'd be back. Maybe not tomorrow, but soon. Because something about Ryan Armstrong and his daughter had cracked open a part of her she'd thought she'd sealed shut years ago, and now she couldn't seem to close it again. The following Saturday, Sophia was back at the market. This time, she dressed more casually, in jeans and a navy peacoat, her hair pulled back in a simple ponytail rather than her usual professional style. She told herself she wasn't dressing down to fit in better, that she just wanted to be comfortable. But she knew she was lying to herself. The market was decorated even more elaborately than the week before, with a giant Christmas tree in the center surrounded by a choir singing carols. Sophia bought a cup of apple cider and positioned herself near the hot chocolate stand, trying not to feel like a stalker. An hour passed, then two. The sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, and the market lights glowed brighter as twilight fell. Sophia was about to give up and go home when she heard a familiar voice. And then the prince saved the princess, but she said she didn't need saving because she already saved herself. Sophia turned and saw Lily walking hand in hand with Ryan, animatedly telling him a story. They hadn't noticed her yet, and for a moment, she just watched them. Ryan was laughing at something Lily had said, his whole face bright with joy, and the love between father and daughter was so evident it made Sophia's chest ache. Then Lily spotted her. "Daddy, look, it's the coffee lady." Ryan's head came up and his eyes met Sophia's across the crowd. Surprise flickered across his face, followed by something that might have been pleasure, and then they were walking toward her. "Sophia," he said, and she loved the way her name sounded in his deep voice. "I didn't expect to see you again. I come here sometimes," she said, aware of how lame that sounded. "How are you both?" "We're good," Ryan said. "Lily wanted to see the lights. They light up the big tree every Saturday night." "It's so pretty," Lily added. "Are you here for the lights too?" "I am," Sophia said, seizing on the excuse. "I heard they were something special." "You should watch with us," Lily said immediately. "Right, Daddy?" Ryan looked slightly uncomfortable, but he nodded. "Sure, if you want to." They found a spot with a good view of the tree, and as they waited for the lighting ceremony to begin, they fell into easy conversation. Sophia learned that Ryan had worked as a construction foreman until a few months ago, when the company had downsized and he'd been laid off. Now he was doing freelance work, handyman jobs and small renovation projects, trying to make ends meet while he looked for something more stable. "It's been tough," he admitted, his voice quiet so Lily, who was busy people watching, wouldn't hear. "But we're managing. I've got some leads on a few positions that might work out." "I'm sure something will come through," Sophia said, meaning it. There was something solid about Ryan, something dependable. Any company would be lucky to have him. "I hope so. I want to give Lily a good Christmas, you know." "She deserves that." The vulnerability in his voice touched something deep in Sophia's heart. She wanted to help, wanted to offer him a job or money or something, but she remembered his reaction the first time they'd met and held her tongue. Then Lily tugged on her sleeve. "Sophia, do you have kids?" "No, I don't," Sophia said. "Why not?" "Lily," Ryan said, embarrassment coloring his cheeks. "That's not polite." "It's okay," Sophia assured him. She crouched down to Lily's level. "I've been very busy with work, so I haven't had time yet, but maybe someday." "You should have kids," Lily said seriously. "You'd be a good mom. You bought us hot chocolate." Sophia laughed, charmed by the child's logic. "That's very sweet of you to say." Then the lights began to come on, thousands of tiny bulbs illuminating the giant tree in waves of color. The crowd gasped and applauded, and Lily pressed against Ryan's side, her eyes wide with wonder. Sophia found herself watching Ryan more than the lights, noting the way he smiled down at his daughter, the protective hand on her shoulder, the contentment on his face. When the ceremony ended and the crowd began to disperse, Sophia didn't want to say goodbye. Before she could second-guess herself, she heard herself asking, "Would you two like to get dinner? There's a pizza place around the corner that's supposed to be good." Ryan hesitated, and Sophia saw the calculation in his eyes. Pride versus practicality, the desire to refuse versus the knowledge that dinner out would be a treat for Lily. "Please, Daddy," Lily said, settling the matter. "I love pizza." "All right," Ryan said finally, "but I'm paying for our part." Sophia wanted to argue but recognized the stubbornness in his jaw. "Deal," she said instead. The pizza place was warm and crowded, with red checkered tablecloths and the scent of garlic and oregano heavy in the air. They found a booth in the back, and Lily insisted on sitting next to Sophia, chattering away about school and her best friend Emma and the stray cat that sometimes visited their apartment building. "She talks a lot," Ryan said apologetically, but Sophia shook her head. "I like it," she said honestly. "It's nice." Over pizza and breadsticks, Sophia learned more about their lives. Ryan had been married to his high school sweetheart, Melissa, who had died in a car accident 3 years ago. He'd been raising Lily alone ever since, with help from his mother who lived across town. "It's been an adjustment," he said, his voice careful, as though he was used to not burdening others with his pain. "But Lily makes everything worth it." "She's a special kid," Sophia said, watching Lily carefully color on the paper placemat the restaurant had provided. "She is." Ryan's eyes were soft as he looked at his daughter. "Sometimes I worry I'm not doing enough for her, that she's missing out on things because it's just me." "I think you're doing an amazing job," Sophia said firmly. "She's happy and loved. That's what matters most." Ryan met her eyes, and for a moment, the busy restaurant seemed to fall away. There was something building between them. Sophia could feel it, a connection that was equal parts terrifying and exhilarating. "Thank you," Ryan said quietly. "That means a lot." When the bill came, they split it as agreed, though Sophia had to fight the urge to just pay for everything. After dinner, they walked out into the cold night together, and Sophia realized she didn't want the evening to end. "This was really nice," she said as they reached the parking area. "Maybe we could do it again sometime." Ryan looked surprised, then uncertain. "Sophia, you seem like a great person, but we're from pretty different worlds. I'm not sure this makes sense." The rejection stung, even though it was delivered gently. "Because I have money and you don't?" Sophia asked, more bluntly than she'd intended. "Because you're a CEO who lives downtown, and I'm an unemployed construction worker who can barely make rent some months," Ryan said, his voice rough. "Because you deserve someone who can take you to nice restaurants and buy you things, and I can't do any of that right now." "I don't care about any of that," Sophia said, stepping closer. "I care about the fact that you make me laugh, that you're an incredible father, that when I'm with you, I feel more like myself than I have in years." Ryan stared at her, conflict written clearly across his face. Lily, who had been distracted by a nearby dog, came skipping back to them, oblivious to the tension. "Daddy, can we see Sophia again?" she asked. "Please?" Ryan looked down at his daughter, then back at Sophia. She saw the moment he made his decision, saw something in his expression soften and open. "Yeah," he said quietly. "Yeah, we can do that." Relief flooded through Sophia, so intense it made her lightheaded. "How about next Saturday? We could go to the park if the weather's nice, or maybe the children's museum if it's cold." "The museum," Lily said excitedly. "I love the museum," Ryan laughed, shaking his head. "I guess we're going to the museum." They exchanged phone numbers, Ryan's fingers fumbling slightly with his beat-up smartphone, and then it was time to say goodbye. Sophia watched them walk to Ryan's truck, an older model Ford with some rust around the wheel wells, and felt something shift in her chest. This was dangerous, she knew. She was opening herself up to something that could hurt, that could complicate her carefully ordered life. But as she drove home that night, she couldn't stop smiling. Over the next 2 weeks, Sophia saw Ryan and Lily 3 more times. They went to the Children's Museum as planned, where Lily dragged them through every exhibit with boundless energy. They met for hot chocolate at a different cafe, this one near Ryan's apartment. And they spent an afternoon at a nearby park, where Ryan pushed Lily on the swings while Sophia watched, something warm and sweet spreading through her chest. Each time they met, Sophia felt herself falling deeper. It wasn't just attraction, though there was certainly that. It was the way Ryan made her laugh with his dry humor. The way he listened when she talked about work stress, asking thoughtful questions. The way he never seemed intimidated by her success, just interested in learning about what she did. And Lily was rapidly stealing her heart. The little girl had started calling her Miss Sophie, and would run to hug her whenever they met. She told Sophia about her days at school, showed her drawings she'd made, and asked endless questions about everything from why the sky was blue to whether Sophia liked unicorns. "I think she might be getting attached," Ryan said one evening after they'd dropped Lily off at his mother's place so they could grab coffee alone. "I don't want her to get hurt if this doesn't work out." They were sitting in a quiet corner of a coffee shop, the evening dark and cold outside the steamed windows. Sophia wrapped her hands around her mug, considering her words carefully. "Is that what you think?" she asked. "That this won't work out?" Ryan rubbed the back of his neck, a gesture she'd come to recognize as a sign of discomfort. "I don't know, Sophia. I like you, a lot, more than I've liked anyone since Melissa, but I've got a lot of baggage. A kid, money problems, a life that's nothing like yours." "Stop comparing our lives like one is better than the other," Sophia said, more sharply than she'd intended. "So what if I have more money? That doesn't make me happier than you. Actually, until I met you and Lily, I was pretty miserable most of the time." Ryan's eyes searched hers. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that I haven't felt this alive in years, that every time we have to say goodbye, I count the hours until I can see you again, that when Lily laughs, it makes me want things I'd given up on wanting." Sophia took a breath, then plunged ahead. "I'm saying that I'm falling for you, Ryan Armstrong, and I don't care about the rest of it." The silence that followed felt endless. Ryan's face went through several expressions: surprise, uncertainty, and then something that looked like hope. "I'm falling for you too," he finally said, his voice rough. "It scares the hell out of me, but I am." Sophia felt tears prick her eyes, unexpected and overwhelming. "Then let's stop overthinking it. Let's just see where this goes." Ryan reached across the table and took her hand, his calloused palm warm against hers. "Okay," he said simply. "Okay." Their first real date was the following weekend. Ryan's mother agreed to watch Lily overnight, giving them an entire evening alone. Ryan insisted on planning it, and though Sophia could tell he was nervous about finances, she didn't interfere. He picked her up at 6, looking nervous and handsome in dark jeans and a button-down shirt. Sophia had dressed carefully, wanting to look nice but not so fancy that she'd make him uncomfortable. She settled on a simple blue dress and boots. "You look beautiful," Ryan said when she opened the door, and the sincerity in his voice made her blush. "You clean up pretty well yourself," she replied, grabbing her coat. He took her to a small Italian restaurant on the east side of town, the kind of place that had been family-owned for generations and didn't care about fancy presentations, just good food. Over pasta and wine, they talked about everything: their childhoods, their dreams, their fears. Sophia told him about building her company from nothing, about the 60-hour weeks and the sacrifices and the loneliness that had come with success. Ryan told her about Melissa, about the grief that still sometimes caught him off guard, about learning to be both mother and father to a little girl who needed so much. "You must have loved her very much," Sophia said gently, and Ryan nodded. "I did. But she's been gone 3 years now, and I know she'd want me to be happy again, to find someone who could be part of Lily's life and mine." He met her eyes across the table. "I think maybe I've found that person." After dinner, they walked along the river, the city lights reflecting on the dark water. It was cold enough that their breath misted in the air, and when Sophia shivered, Ryan put his arm around her shoulders without hesitation. "Thank you for tonight," Sophia said as they walked. "For planning it, for everything." "I wanted to do something nice for you," Ryan replied, "even if it wasn't as fancy as what you're probably used to." Sophia stopped walking and turned to face him. "Ryan, I need you to hear this. I don't care about fancy, I care about genuine." And tonight was the most genuine, wonderful date I've had in my entire life. He studied her face in the lamplight, as though trying to determine if she was telling the truth. Whatever he saw must have convinced him, because he smiled, that real smile that transformed his face. "Good," he said. "Because I was pretty nervous about the whole thing." "You hit it well," Sophia teased, and he laughed. They continued walking, and Sophia felt a contentment she couldn't remember ever experiencing before. This was what she'd been missing, she realized. Not just romance or companionship, but this feeling of rightness, of being exactly where she was supposed to be. When they reached her building, Ryan walked her to the door. They stood facing each other in the lobby, and Sophia's heart was pounding so hard she was sure he could hear it. "Can I kiss you?" Ryan asked, his voice low, and Sophia's answer was to rise on her toes and press her lips to his. The kiss was gentle at first, tentative, but then Ryan's hands came up to cup her face, and it deepened into something that made Sophia's knees weak. He kissed like he did everything else, with complete focus and genuine feeling, and when they finally pulled apart, they were both breathing hard. "Wow," Sophia whispered, and Ryan grinned. "Yeah," he agreed. "Wow." They kissed again, then again, until Sophia's doorman cleared his throat pointedly and they broke apart, laughing. "I should go," Ryan said, though he didn't move. "I have to pick up Lily early tomorrow." "Okay," Sophia said, but she didn't let go of his hand. "Sophia?" "Yeah." "I'm really glad you spilled coffee on me," she laughed, the sound echoing in the lobby. "Me too, me too." After that night, they were officially together. They told Lily, who was so excited she actually jumped up and down, and they started figuring out how to make their relationship work around their very different lives. It wasn't always easy. Sophia's work schedule was demanding, and Ryan's job search took time and energy. There were moments when their different backgrounds caused friction. Like when Sophia casually mentioned a vacation she'd taken to Italy and Ryan went quiet, reminded of all the things he couldn't afford to give Lily. But they worked through it. Sophia learned to be more mindful of her privilege, to think before she spoke about expensive purchases or exclusive experiences. Ryan learned to accept help when it was offered out of genuine care, not pity. And slowly, they built something solid between them. Christmas came, and Sophia found herself invited to spend it with Ryan, Lily, and Ryan's mother, Dorothy. She'd never met Dorothy before and was nervous about making a good impression. "She's going to love you," Ryan assured her the night before. "She already does, just from what I've told her." "What if she thinks I'm too fancy? Too different?" Sophia fretted, sorting through the gifts she'd bought for everyone. She'd tried to be thoughtful rather than extravagant, but she still worried. Ryan pulled her close, kissing her forehead. "She's going to think you're wonderful because you make me happy, And because you're good to Lily, that's all that matters to her." He was right. Dorothy Armstrong was a warm, practical woman in her early 60s who hugged Sophia the moment she walked in the door and told her she'd been praying for someone like her to come into her son's life. "He's been alone too long," Dorothy said, pulling Sophia into the kitchen to help with dinner preparations. "And Lily needs a mother figure. I do my best, but it's not the same." The words struck deep, and Sophia had to blink back tears. "I care about them both very much," she said quietly. "I can tell," Dorothy replied, patting her hand. "And that's all I need to know." Christmas dinner was chaotic and loud and absolutely perfect. Lily wore a sparkly dress and a construction paper crown she'd made at school. They ate ham and mashed potatoes and green bean casserole, and afterward they opened presents by the tree in Dorothy's living room. Sophia had bought Lily a set of art supplies and books, and for Ryan, a high-quality tool set she'd noticed him eyeing at a hardware store. She'd agonized over both gifts, wanting them to be right. Lily loved the art supplies, immediately wanting to start drawing, and Ryan held the tool set with an expression that was equal parts gratitude and something deeper. "This is too much," he said quietly, but Sophia shook her head. "It's exactly right," she corrected. "You needed them." He kissed her then in front of his mother and daughter, and Dorothy said, "Well, it's about time." Lily's gift to Sophia was a drawing of the three of them holding hands with a big heart drawn above them. Sophia hugged it to her chest and promised to frame it and hang it in her office. As the evening wound down and Lily fell asleep on the couch, her head in Sophia's lap, Ryan and Dorothy talked about family memories while Sophia listened, absently stroking Lily's hair. She felt something settle inside her, a sense of belonging she hadn't even realized she'd been searching for. "This," she thought. "This is what I've been missing. Not just Ryan, but this whole package. The family, the warmth, the unconditional love and support. This is home." In January, Ryan got a job offer from a reputable construction company, a management position with good pay and benefits. He came to Sophia's office to tell her, bursting in during a meeting and then apologizing profusely before pulling her aside. "They offered me the job," he said, his face bright with excitement. "Salary, health insurance, the whole package. I start in 2 weeks." Sophia threw her arms around him, not caring that her entire executive team could see through the glass walls of the conference room. "That's amazing." "I'm so proud of you." "Things are finally looking up," Ryan said, holding her tight. "I can give Lily a better Christmas next year, maybe even save up for a vacation. And I can take you out properly, not worry about splitting every bill." "I told you I don't care about that," Sophia reminded him, but she was smiling. She knew the job meant more than money to Ryan. It meant security and dignity and the ability to provide for his daughter the way he wanted to. That evening, they celebrated with Lily at her favorite diner, and afterward, Ryan asked Sophia if they could talk alone. Dorothy picked up Lily, and Ryan drove Sophia back to her loft. "I need to say something," Ryan began as they sat on her couch, the city lights twinkling through the windows behind them. "These past couple of months with you have been incredible. You've changed my life, Sophia, made me believe in possibilities I'd given up on." "You've changed mine too," Sophia said softly, taking his hand. "I know it's fast," Ryan continued. "Maybe too fast, but I need you to know that I'm serious about this, about us. I'm not looking for something casual or temporary, I'm all in." Sophia's heart swelled. "I'm all in too," she said. "Completely." They kissed, and it felt like a promise. As winter turned to spring, their relationship deepened. Sophia started spending more time at Ryan's apartment, which was small but filled with evidence of his life with Lily. Her drawings on the fridge, her toys in the corner, her laughter echoing through the rooms. Sophia helped with homework and made dinner and read bedtime stories. And slowly, she became a fixture in their lives. Lily started calling her just Sophie, dropping the miss, and then one day she said, "I love you, Sophie." so casually while they were coloring together that Sophia had to excuse herself to the bathroom to cry happy tears. Work became less all-consuming. Sophia started leaving the office at reasonable hours, delegating more to her capable team, and discovered that the company didn't collapse without her constant presence. In fact, her employees seemed happier with her lighter touch, and the quality of their work improved. "You seem different," Marcus commented during a quarterly review meeting. "Happier? I am," Sophia admitted. "I've finally figured out how to balance work and life." "It's a good look on you," Marcus said with a smile. In May, Ryan and Lily moved to a bigger apartment, a 2-bedroom place in a better neighborhood. Sophia helped them pack and unpack, and when Lily showed her the new bedroom with space for all her art supplies and books, Sophia felt tears prick her eyes again. "What do you think?" Lily asked anxiously. "Do you like it?" "I love it," Sophia assured her. "It's perfect." That night, after Lily was asleep in her new room, Ryan and Sophia sat on the balcony of the apartment, sharing a bottle of wine and looking at the stars. "I've been thinking," Ryan said carefully. "About the future, about where this is going." Sophia's pulse quickened. "Yeah, I love you," Ryan said, turning to face her. "I should have said it before now, but I was scared of moving too fast, scared of messing this up. But I do. I love you, Sophia Jenkins." Joy bloomed in Sophia's chest, so intense it was almost painful. "I love you too," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "So much, Ryan." They kissed under the stars, and Sophia thought about how much her life had changed in 6 months. She'd gone from lonely and work-obsessed to part of a family, from emotionally closed off to open and vulnerable, and so deeply in love, it terrified and thrilled her in equal measure. In July, Sophia took Ryan and Lily on their first vacation together, a week at a beach house she rented in North Carolina. She'd been careful to choose something nice, but not ostentatiously expensive, and Ryan had finally agreed to let her pay for it after she'd pointed out that she wanted to do this for all of them. The week was magical. They built sandcastles and swam in the ocean and ate ice cream for breakfast because Lily begged and neither adult could resist her. They stayed up late talking after Lily went to bed, and Ryan told Sophia things about his life with Melissa that he'd never shared before. "She would have liked you," he said one night as they sat on the porch, listening to the waves. "She always said I needed someone who'd challenge me, keep me on my toes. That's you." "I wish I could have met her," Sophia said honestly. "She must have been an amazing person to have raised Lily with you." "She was," Ryan agreed. "But she's gone and you're here and I'm grateful for that. I'll always love her memory, but I love you now in the present." "Is that okay?" "More than okay," Sophia assured him. "It's how it should be." On their last night at the beach, after Lily was asleep, Ryan pulled Sophia down to the shore. The moon was full, casting silver light across the water, and the beach was deserted except for them. "I have something for you," Ryan said, reaching into his pocket. He pulled out a small box, and Sophia's breath caught in her throat. "Ryan." "I know we haven't been together that long," he said, dropping to one knee in the sand, "but I also know that I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I want to wake up next to you every morning and fall asleep beside you every night. I want to build a family with you, give Lily siblings if you want them, grow old together. Sophia Jenkins, will you marry me?" He opened the box, revealing a simple diamond ring that caught the moonlight. It wasn't enormous or flashy, but it was beautiful, and the fact that Ryan had bought it with his own money made it more precious than any expensive jewelry could ever be. "Yes," Sophia said, tears streaming down her face. "Yes, yes, yes." Ryan stood and slipped the ring on her finger, then pulled her into a kiss that tasted of salt water and joy. They held each other on the beach, the waves lapping at their feet, and Sophia thought about how a split-second moment of clumsiness at a holiday market had led to this. "I can't wait to tell Lily," Ryan said, and Sophia laughed. "She's going to lose her mind," she predicted. She was right. The next morning, when they told Lily that Sophie was going to be her stepmom, The little girl screamed so loud the neighbors probably heard, and then jumped into Sophia's arms with such force they both almost fell over. "I'm getting a mom," Lily shouted. "A real mom. Emma is going to be so jealous." Ryan and Sophia laughed, holding Lily between them, and Sophia felt a completeness she'd never experienced before. This was her family now. These were her people. They married in October, a year and a day after they'd first met. It was a small ceremony, just close friends and family, held in a garden with autumn leaves falling around them. Lily was the flower girl, taking her duties very seriously, and Dorothy cried through the entire ceremony. Sophia wore a simple white dress, and Ryan wore a dark suit, and when they exchanged vows, Sophia's voice shook with emotion. "A year ago, I was successful but empty," she said, looking into Ryan's eyes. "I had everything I thought I wanted and nothing I actually needed. Then I spilled coffee on you, and you smiled at me like it was no big deal, and my whole world shifted. You taught me what really matters: love, family, being present for the people you care about. You and Lily gave me a home. And I promise to spend the rest of my life making sure you both know how loved you are." Ryan's vows were simpler, but no less heartfelt. "I promise to love you, support you, and be your partner in everything. I promise to make you laugh and hold you when you cry and always put our family first. You saved me, Sophia, and I'm going to spend my life being the man you deserve." When they kissed as husband and wife, their guests applauded, and Lily shouted, "They did it!" making everyone laugh. The reception was held at a local restaurant, nothing fancy, but filled with warmth and joy. Sophia danced with Ryan, with Lily, with her own father who had flown in from Ohio. Her sister Claire cornered her at one point, hugging her tight. "I've never seen you this happy," Claire said, tears in her eyes. "I'm so glad you found him." "Me too," Sophia whispered back. "Me too." That night, after the reception ended and Lily had gone home with Dorothy, Ryan and Sophia returned to their new house. They'd bought it together over the summer, a 3-bedroom place with a yard for Lily to play in and an office where Sophia could work from home when needed. "Hello, Mrs. Armstrong," Ryan said, lifting Sophia over the threshold, and she giggled like a teenager. "Hello, Mr. Armstrong," she replied, kissing him soundly. They made love slowly, tenderly, celebrating not just their wedding night but everything they'd built together. Afterward, lying in Ryan's arms, Sophia marveled at how much her life had changed. "What are you thinking?" Ryan asked, running his fingers through her hair. "That I almost didn't go to the holiday market that day," Sophia said. "I almost stayed home and worked, and if I had, I never would have met you. But you did go," Ryan pointed out, "and you did meet me, and here we are." "Here we are," Sophia echoed, smiling in the darkness. Life settled into a new normal after the wedding. Sophia continued running her company but with better boundaries, leaving work at the office and prioritizing family time. Ryan thrived in his management position, earning respect from his team and a promotion within 6 months. Lily flourished with 2 parents who adored her. She called Sophia Mom now, a transition that had happened naturally over the months, and Sophia's heart swelled every time she heard it. They attended her school events together, helped with homework together, and tucked her in together each night. In December, they returned to the Riverside holiday market for the first time since they'd met. It was a deliberate pilgrimage, all 3 of them bundled up against the cold as they walked through the familiar stalls. "This is where Mommy spilled coffee on Daddy," Lily announced to anyone who would listen, and Sophia and Ryan exchanged amused glances. They bought hot chocolate from the same stand, watched the tree lighting ceremony, and took a photo in front of the big tree, Lily between them and all 3 of them grinning. "A year ago, my life was so different," Sophia said as they walked back to their car. "I thought I was happy, but I had no idea what happiness really meant." "And now?" Ryan asked, though his smile suggested he already knew the answer. "Now I have everything," Sophia said simply, squeezing his hand. In the spring, they got even better news. Sophia discovered she was pregnant, a surprise that left both her and Ryan stunned and thrilled. They told Lily together, worried about how she'd react to the news that she'd be a big sister. They needn't have worried. Lily was ecstatic, immediately deciding that the baby would be a girl named Princess Unicorn Sparkle, a name that Sophia and Ryan gently suggested they might revise. The pregnancy was easy, and Sophia continued working through most of it, finally taking maternity leave in her 8th month. Ryan fussed over her constantly, making sure she was comfortable and had everything she needed, and Lily talked to her growing belly every night, telling her future sibling about all the fun they'd have together. In September, 2 years after that fateful day at the holiday market, Sophia gave birth to a healthy baby boy. They named him James, after Ryan's father, and when Lily met her little brother for the first time, she cried happy tears and declared him perfect, even though he's not a princess. Holding James in her arms, with Ryan on one side and Lily on the other, Sophia felt a peace so profound it brought tears to her eyes. This was her family. This was her life. And it was more beautiful than anything she could have imagined. The months that followed were exhausting and wonderful in equal measure. Sleepless nights and endless diapers, but also James's first smile and the way Lily would gently hold her brother and sing to him. Sophia had hired a nanny to help during the day so she could gradually return to work, but she found herself leaving the office earlier and earlier, eager to get home to her family. "You've changed so much," her sister Claire said during a video call. "I remember when you used to work 80-hour weeks and never take vacation." "That wasn't living," Sophia said, bouncing James on her knee while Lily colored at the table behind her. "This is living." When James was 6 months old, Sophia made a big decision. She promoted Marcus to CEO and took on a new role as chairman of the board, allowing her to maintain control and direction of the company while freeing up significant time for family. It was a risk, but it felt right. "Are you sure about this?" Ryan asked when she told him. "I know how much the company means to you." "It does mean a lot to me," Sophia agreed, "but you and the kids mean more, and I've realized that I don't have to choose between success and family. I can have both, just in a different way than I thought." The new arrangement worked beautifully. Sophia attended important meetings and made major decisions, but left the day-to-day operations to Marcus and her capable team. She had time to volunteer at Lily's school, to take James to music classes, to have lunch with Ryan on his workday breaks. On their 2nd wedding anniversary, Ryan surprised her with a weekend away, just the two of them while Dorothy watched the kids. They returned to the beach house. They'd rented that first vacation, and it felt full circle, walking the same shore where Ryan had proposed. "Happy anniversary," Ryan said, pulling her close as they watched the sunset. "Best decision I ever made, saying yes when you asked us to get hot chocolate." "Best coffee spill of my life," Sophia joked, and Ryan laughed. "I love you," he said, turning serious. "Thank you for giving me a second chance at happiness, for loving Lily like she's your own, for giving me James, for making every day better just by being in it." "I love you too," Sophia said, her eyes shining with tears. "You saved me, Ryan. I was so lost before I met you, and I didn't even realize it. You showed me what really matters." They kissed as the sun dipped below the horizon, and Sophia thought about the twists and turns that had brought them to this moment. A chance encounter at a holiday market, coffee spilled, an instant connection neither of them could ignore. If someone had told her 2 years ago that she'd be married to a construction foreman with a ready-made family, she probably would have laughed. But now, she couldn't imagine any other life. Years passed, filled with the beautiful mundanity of family life. Lily grew from a precocious 5-year-old to a thoughtful teenager who still drew pictures, but now talked about becoming an architect. James grew from a baby to a rambunctious boy who adored his big sister and wanted to be just like his dad. Sophia and Ryan's love deepened with time, weathering the challenges that all marriages face, but emerging stronger each time. They had disagreements and difficult days, but they'd built something solid, a foundation of respect and genuine affection that carried them through on a December evening 7 years after they'd first met. The whole family returned to the Riverside holiday market. It had become a tradition, their anniversary of sorts, the celebration of the day their lives had collided. Lily was 12 now, too cool for some things but still enchanted by the market lights. James was 5, the same age Lily had been when Sophia met them, and just as enthusiastic about everything. And Sophia was pregnant again, a surprise but a welcome one, due in the spring. "This never gets old," Ryan said, watching Lily and James run ahead to see the tree lighting. His arm was around Sophia's shoulders, and she leaned into him, content. "It doesn't," she agreed. "Best place in the world. Because it's where we met." "Because it's where my real life started," Sophia corrected. "Everything before that was just practice." They watched the tree light up, thousands of bulbs glowing in the darkness, and Lily turned back to wave at them, her face bright with joy. James was jumping up and down, trying to see better, and Sophia's hand went to her belly, feeling the flutter of life there. "We should get hot chocolate," Ryan said, "for old time's sake." "As long as you promise not to let me spill it," Sophia teased. "No promises," Ryan replied with a grin. "Look where it got us last time." They walked through the market together, a family complete and whole, and Sophia silently thanked whatever twist of fate had made her clumsy that day 7 years ago. Thank you, she thought, for the coffee spill that changed everything, because it had changed everything. She'd gone from a lonely CEO who measured success in profit margins and market share to a woman who measured it in goodnight kisses and family dinners, and the weight of her sleeping child in her arms. She'd learned that love wasn't a distraction from real life. It was real life, the only thing that mattered in the end. "What are you thinking about?" Ryan asked, noticing her faraway expression. "Just how lucky I am," Sophia said. "How lucky we all are." "Lucky," Ryan repeated, pulling her closer. "Yeah, that's exactly what we are." They caught up to the kids at the hot chocolate stand, ordered drinks with extra marshmallows, and found a spot to watch the carolers who had gathered near the tree. James climbed onto Ryan's shoulders for a better view, and Lily stood close to Sophia, accepting a sip of her hot chocolate with a mature thank you that made Sophia's heart squeeze. This, she thought, looking around at her family, at the lights and the music and the joy on everyone's faces. This is everything. Later that night, after the kids were in bed and she and Ryan were curled up on the couch, Sophia thought about the woman she'd been 7 years ago. That Sophia had been successful but hollow, driven but directionless, surrounded by things but utterly alone. She'd thought she was happy because she didn't know any better. "Thank you," she said suddenly, and Ryan looked up from his phone. "For what?" "For not letting my money or my job scare you off. For giving me a chance even when it seemed like we were too different. For letting me be part of your life and Lily's life." Ryan set down his phone and turned to face her fully. "Sophia, you have it backward. You're the one who gave me a chance. I was a mess when we met. Unemployed, broke, barely keeping it together. And you looked past all of that and saw me. The real me. I saw a good man and an amazing father," Sophia said. "That's all I needed to see." "We saved each other," Ryan said softly. "That's the truth of it. We saved each other." He was right, Sophia realized. It hadn't been a one-sided rescue. They'd both been lost in their own ways, both searching for something they couldn't name, and then they'd found each other in the chaos of a holiday market. Two people from different worlds who somehow fit together perfectly. "I love you," she said, the words as true now as they'd been the first time she'd said them. "I love you too," Ryan replied. "Always." They sat together in the quiet house, their children sleeping safely upstairs, a new baby on the way, and 7 years of love behind them with hopefully many more ahead. Outside, the city lights twinkled, and somewhere across town, the Riverside holiday market was shutting down for the night, the vendors packing up and the lights going dark. But for Sophia and Ryan, The light would never go out. They'd found each other against all odds, built a family from an accidental meeting, and created a love story that was messy and imperfect and absolutely real. And it had all started with spilled coffee, a little girl's laughter, and two hearts that were brave enough to take a chance on something unexpected. That was the magic of it, Sophia thought as she drifted off to sleep in Ryan's arms. Life's best gifts often came disguised as accidents, as inconveniences, as moments you initially wanted to forget. The trick was being open enough to recognize them for what they really were, opportunities for everything to change. She'd been looking at her phone, rushing through a holiday market, focused on work and obligations and all the things that seemed important but weren't. And then she'd collided with Ryan, literally knocked into his life, and nothing had been the same since. Best accident ever, she thought with a smile. The very best. The end came not with fireworks or grand gestures, but with this. A quiet house, a warm bed, a man she loved beyond measure, and the knowledge that tomorrow they'd wake up and do it all again. The ordinary magic of family life, the extraordinary gift of love, and somewhere in her dreams, Sophia walked through an endless holiday market, lights twinkling above her, the scent of cinnamon in the air, and Ryan and the kids beside her. Forever and always, her heart whispered. This is forever and always. When she woke the next morning to James climbing onto the bed and Lily calling that breakfast was ready, and Ryan kissing her forehead with a soft good morning, beautiful, Sophia knew with absolute certainty that she'd found her happy ending. Not the kind from fairy tales, where everything was perfect and conflict-free, but the real kind, where love was a choice you made every single day and family was the greatest adventure of all. The coffee stain had long since been cleaned from her cashmere coat, now retired to the back of the closet. But the mark Ryan and Lily had left on her heart remained, permanent and precious. They'd changed her in ways she was still discovering, teaching her daily about love and patience and what it meant to truly live rather than just exist. 7 years, and it felt like both a lifetime and no time at all. 7 years of learning how to be a wife, a mother, a partner. 7 years of Ryan's steady presence, his quiet strength, his unwavering love. 7 years of watching Lily grow and James learn and their family expand and deepen, and ahead. More years, more changes, more challenges and triumphs, another baby in the spring, Lily's teenage years. James starting school. Ryan's career continuing to flourish, her own work evolving as she found new ways to balance ambition with presence, but through it all, they'd have each other. That was the promise they'd made, standing in a garden surrounded by autumn leaves, and it was a promise they renewed every day with actions more than words. "Mommy, come on," James called. "Daddy made pancakes." "Coming," Sophia called back, extracting herself from the warm bed. She caught sight of herself in the mirror, her hair messy and her face free of makeup, wearing one of Ryan's old t-shirts. She looked nothing like the polished CEO who'd walked through that holiday market 7 years ago, and she'd never been happier. Downstairs, her family was waiting. Ryan at the stove, flipping pancakes with practiced ease. Lily setting the table, humming under her breath. James bouncing in his chair, impatient and excited. This was her life now, these simple morning moments that were anything but simple because they were filled with love. "There she is," Ryan said, smiling at her in a way that still made her heart skip. "I made your favorite? Chocolate chip," Sophia asked hopefully, and he laughed. "What else?" She kissed him, tasting coffee and sugar, and then kissed each of her children before sitting down at the table. They ate together, talking over each other and laughing and making plans for the day, and Sophia thought this. Remember this, all of it, because these were the moments that mattered. Not the deals or the promotions or the impressive profit margins. Not the fancy dinners or expensive vacations or material possessions. Just this, her family together, eating pancakes on a Sunday morning while winter sunlight streamed through the windows. It was everything. It was enough. It was more than she'd ever dreamed of having, back when she'd thought success was measured in dollars and business victories. Now she knew better. Success was measured in love freely given and received, in children who felt safe and cherished, in a partner who saw you clearly and chose you anyway. In a life built together, brick by brick, choice by choice, day by day. "What are you smiling about?" Lily asked, and Sophia realized she'd been sitting there with a dopey grin on her face. "Just thinking about how much I love you all," she said honestly. "Gross," Lily said, but she was smiling too. "Love you too, Mommy," James added through a mouthful of pancake, and Ryan reached across the table to squeeze her hand. "Love you most," he said, and Sophia squeezed back. "Impossible," she replied. "I love you mostest." It was a silly argument they'd been having for years, this competition over who loved whom more. The truth was there was no winner because they'd all won, just by finding each other. Just by building this beautiful, chaotic, perfect life together. After breakfast, they decided to go to the park, all four of them bundled up against the cold. They played on the swings and built a snowman with James, and Lily taught Sophia a new game she'd learned at school. Ryan took photos on his phone, capturing moments they'd look back on years from now with nostalgia and joy. "I want to remember this day," Sophia said as they walked home, James holding her hand and chattering about the snowman. "We'll remember," Ryan assured her. "All of it. The good days and the hard days and everything in between." He was right, of course. The memories they were making would sustain them through whatever challenges lay ahead. That was the gift of family, of love that had been tested and proven true. You built up a reserve of good moments, beautiful memories that you could draw on when times got tough, and there would be tough times. That was life. But Sophia wasn't afraid of them anymore. She had Ryan beside her and their children depending on them and love enough to weather any storm. That night, after the kids were asleep and she and Ryan were getting ready for bed, Sophia looked at him with sudden intensity. "I need you to know something," she said. "That day at the market when I spilled coffee on you, that was the best day of my life." Ryan paused in the middle of brushing his teeth and looked at her in the mirror. "Better than our wedding? Different from our wedding," Sophia clarified. "That was the best day because it was the beginning of everything. It was the day I didn't know I'd been waiting for." Ryan rinsed his mouth and turned to face her. "I know exactly what you mean," he said. "I'd given up on feeling that spark again, thought that part of my life was over. And then this beautiful, flustered woman spilled hot coffee all over me and apologized about 100 times, and I thought, there's something here, something important." "You felt it too?" Sophia asked. "Right away." "Right away," Ryan confirmed. "I told myself I was crazy, that you were out of my league and we had nothing in common, but I couldn't stop thinking about you. For the entire puppet show, Lily kept asking me questions and I barely heard her because my mind was on you." "I came back the next week," Sophia confessed. "I told myself I was just visiting the market, but really I was looking for you." "I know," Ryan said with a soft smile. "Dorothy told me I should go back too, that if I'd met someone special, I shouldn't let her get away. She said life doesn't give you many chances at happiness, and you have to grab them when they come." "She's a wise woman." "She is," Ryan agreed, "and she was right. You were my second chance, my unexpected gift, and I'm grateful for you every single day." They held each other in the quiet bathroom, and Sophia felt the rightness of it settle over her like a warm blanket. This was where she belonged. This was home. As they climbed into bed, Sophia's phone buzzed with a notification. A message from Marcus about a potential new client, something that would have sent her into a flurry of activity and late-night work sessions just a few years ago. Instead, she silenced the phone and put it face down on the nightstand. "Everything okay?" Ryan asked. "Everything's perfect," Sophia said, snuggling into his embrace. "It can wait until tomorrow. Because there would always be more work, more deals, more opportunities for professional success. But there was only one tonight, one now, One chance to fall asleep in her husband's arms and wake up to her children's laughter. She'd finally learned to prioritize, and it felt like freedom. In the spring, they welcomed another daughter, Emma Rose, named after Lily's best friend and Ryan's grandmother. Lily was an amazing big sister, protective and gentle with both her brothers and now her baby sister. James was fascinated by the tiny baby, constantly wanting to hold her and show her his toys. And Ryan and Sophia navigated parenthood for the third time with the confidence of experience and the joy of knowing how precious and fleeting these moments were. On Emma's first Christmas, they once again visited the Riverside Holiday Market, now with 3 children in tow. It was chaotic and exhausting and absolutely perfect. They took their annual photo in front of the tree, all 5 of them squeezed together, and Sophia looked at Ryan over their children's heads with so much love she thought she might burst. 8 years since that first collision. 8 years of building a life together. 8 years of love and laughter and learning and growth. Ready for 8 more? Ryan asked with a grin as though reading her thoughts. Ready for 80 more, Sophia replied, and she meant it with her whole heart, because this was it. This was the happy ending she hadn't known she was searching for. Not perfect, because life never was, but real and beautiful and hers. Theirs, forever.